Hello everyone, Statname here. Today we have a new hero for you, Toggle 63 AMG on PokerStars. Let's see his all-time winnings according to our stats. So yeah, based on our information, over 1.7 million hands, he has won almost 150k. His main stake is 200 L, where he has a win rate of 11 BBs per 100. He is a very aggressive player. Let's get back to last 12 months to get a more relevant information. His 1-1 soft flop is 50. Won at showdown 50. Aggression frequency per street 44, 40 and 36. His red line is above 0. His win rate is 12 BBs per 100 over the course of last 12 months. And overall, yeah, it is a very aggressive player. His win to showdown is 37% only, so he really does not like to give up, which is also confirmed by his low fold to c-bet reverse stat, only 37%, 39 out of position and 33 in position. So yeah, these are his basic stats, and now let's see some of his hands to dive a little deeper into how he plays. Okay, first hand, we open a 6-5 suited on a hijack, face a 3-bet from the small blind of 12 BBs, and against such a sizing we are already indifferent, and I think we are even closer to a fold with this hand. However, if we think we have some sort of a post-flop edge against this opponent, we can easily call such a hand, and this is what hero does. The board is King 9-6 with 2 hearts, villain c-bets half pot, and we call. Just standard stuff for now. Villain can easily find bluffs, so yeah, we never fold such a hand. Board pairs on the turn and brings another flush draw. We hit a trips, villain bets around half pot again, and hero decides to shove. Well, I actually really like this move, and I want to point out that even in 3-bet pots, don't be afraid to shove with some really good hands, like this one for example, in spots and on boards where villain has a lot of high equity bluffs in his range. I mean, here villain probably never has like 0 equity bluffs in his barreling range. He mostly has some nutted flush draws, some combo draws like flush draw and a gut shot, let's say like, I don't know, Queen 10 of spades, Queen Jack of hearts, and so on. And in spots like this, where villain actually has a lot of high equity bluffs in his range and almost no 0 equity bluffs, we want to raise and shove and so on with our value hands. First of all, to deny this equity. And second of all, to put him in a very uncomfortable position with those hands. So yeah, I really like this shove. This time villain calls and shows ace king, so yeah, of course it's just a cooler for a villain, but we also played well, and let's move on. Okay, next hand, pocket aces, early position limper, probably a weaker player. We ice raise to 3.5, face a 3-bet from the big blind, and we call. Also wanted to point out that when we face a bigger 3-bet, a 3-bet of a bigger size, we don't have to necessarily 4-bet against that, so because the pot is going to be already quite big on the flop, and we will play with a smaller stack to pot ratio. Well, basically it almost makes it a 4-bet pot in terms of pot size. So yeah, we don't necessarily want to always 4-bet pocket aces. We should probably split aces into 2 ranges, sometimes calling, sometimes 4-betting still, of course. It's a really nice hand to call. We are afraid of nothing, basically, with such a hand. The flop is ace jack deuce. Villain bets a standard third pot size, so we call. Everything's standard up until now. For on the turn, villain checks. Hero decides to check back. Probably the idea is to protect our checking range, some weaker hands that we also want to check back. And we have 3 on the river. Villain checks. And hero makes an overbet shove. About 2x pot, well, slightly less. Well, I do like this bet size because even if, I will definitely use different sizes here. I would split in this spot. And if we bet, let's say, 3/4 of the pot, we will still make him fold all of those Jack-X combos, all of those queens and kings. So we have to bet polar here. We have to aim for his Ace-X combos and better. Even though we are blocking a lot of those. We also represent a really narrow value range here. What can we have here? We have some slow played sets like pocket jacks, let's say, pocket aces, of course, and some of those we would bet on the turn, but in this case we checked. So we represent a really narrow and a very polarized range. Well, basically for value we have pocket jacks, pocket aces, and maybe some ace-5 combos. We would play this same way. And in terms of bluffs, we have some busted flush draws we decided to check on the turn, and some gotchas, stuff like that. Anyways, we shove in the end, villain calls and shows ace-king of clubs. It's a weird check with ace-king on the turn from him. I believe it is almost always a bet in theory, but maybe he decided to check to protect his checking range. But anyway, as played, I think it's fine from both players on the river. Fine shove and a fine call. Okay, let's go to the next hand. Ace-king on the cutoff, we 3-bet against a hijack open. By the way, the villain in this hand is a tight regular. Here he is, 1-1 soft flop 44, low aggression on every street. We 3-bet against the regular and villain calls. King 7-3 is the flop, a perfect board for our range. King high boards are almost always great for the aggressor because a villain has to play most of or all of his ace-king combos differently. He either shoved them or 4-bets. So he only has king queen, king jack, and king 10 left. He has no top pair top kickers in his range, so we can often bet 3 streets for value with ace king. And at the same time, the villain Semka AEE in this case has to already fold a lot of hands against a third pot bet. He has to fold hands like pocket 8s, pocket 9s even on the flop already. So it's a great spot for us. We bet third and he calls. So another 7 comes on the turn, pairing the board. It doesn't really change anything for us, so we can still continue betting our pocket queens, pocket jacks. We can continue betting our king X combos. Villain has some ace queens with the backdoor here in his flop calling range. So we bet again and he calls again. 4 of spades on the river and villain donk bet shoves. And the reason I picked this hand is that villain does something really weird considering his stats and his playstyle, his 1-1 soft flop of 44%, his low aggression. It's not like him to shove on the river. It's an easy call for hero, of course. And villain shows pocket 5s. It's really weird. It's really hard to tell what's the reasoning behind this donk bet shove. Maybe in his hand he thought that he can represent 5-6 suited, like this is the only thing that completes on such a river card. Maybe he tried to represent 7-6, 7-8 suited as well. Well, I don't know. It's really hard to tell what he's trying to represent here, what he's trying to achieve, what was his thinking process. I think it would be reasonable to consider shoving a hand like this. I mean, at least somewhat reasonable if there was a flush draw on the board, on the flop or on the turn. Doesn't really matter. I mean, in this case, he can probably represent 5-6 suited, like a hand with a flush draw and a gut shot on the flop that he calls, and then he makes his straight on the river and he don't bet shoves. So yeah, in this case, probably don't bet shoving on the river would be reasonable, representing some busted flush draws as bluffs and 5-6 for value. But yeah, in this case, the board is rainbow, no flush draws possible on the flop or on the turn. So yeah, it's really hard to tell what is he trying to represent. But anyways, it seems that even on 200 NL, people make such big mistakes. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.